All right, dog lovers, buckle up. Because today we're tackling a topic that's close to the heart of anyone who's ever had a Labrador puppy: biting.
Those little land sharks.
Exactly. It's like they come pre-programmed with needle teeth and a mission to test every inch of your skin. But before we all end up wrapped in bubble wrap, we're diving deep into the why behind puppy biting and, more importantly, the how to make it stop.
And hopefully keep all our fingers intact in the process, right?
Absolutely. So to help us navigate this rite of passage, we're turning to, well, let's just say some pretty awesome expert advice. We're talking years of experience working with dogs, understanding their behavior, and most importantly, knowing how to turn those bitey pups into well-mannered cuddle monsters.
That's the dream, isn't it?
It really is. But, something that always struck me as kind of interesting is that puppy biting, while a pain, is totally normal. It's not necessarily a sign of aggression.
Exactly. It's like, think about human babies for a second, right? They put everything in their mouths. It's how they explore the world, figure out textures, and just kind of learn about their surroundings. Puppies are doing the same thing.
That's such a good point. I actually um, read this fascinating study the other day, and it was saying how puppies also use biting as a way to communicate with each other, especially with their litter mates.
Oh, absolutely. It's how they establish boundaries, figure out bite inhibition, like how hard is too hard? Because, those little guys can pack a punch with those sharp little teeth.
Oh, tell me about it. I still have the scars to prove it.
Yeah.
But it brings up an important point, right? Because if biting is a form of communication for them, then yelling at them or, heaven forbid, physical punishment is just going to make things worse.
100%. It's like speaking two completely different languages. They're not going to understand why they're being punished, and it can actually lead to more behavioral problems down the line.
Right, it's like trying to teach algebra to a goldfish. It's just not going to compute.
Yeah.
So if punishment is off the table, what's the magic solution? What do we do instead?
You got a positive reinforcement. Instead of focusing on what they're doing wrong, we shower them with praise and rewards when they're doing something right. Like, if they're mouthing on your hand, redirect them to a chew toy, and when they take it, that's when the party starts: treats, praise, the whole shebang.
It's all about creating those positive associations, right? Like, hey, chewing on this toy gets me all the good stuff. But something I've always wondered is positive reinforcement enough on its own? Or are there other things we can do to kind of like set our pups up for success?
That is such a good question. And the answer is, it's a great foundation, but we got to think bigger picture here. One of the biggest secret weapons in the fight against puppy biting is, drumroll please, exercise.
Ah, yes. The old tired puppy is a good puppy trick.
Exactly. Especially with high energy breeds like labs. These guys are bred to go, go, go. So a nice long walk, a good game of fetch, even just some mental stimulation like puzzle toys can make all the difference in the world.
It's like burning off that excess energy, right?
Mhm.
Because let's be real, expecting a puppy who's been cooped up all day to just chill out and not bite is like, well, it's like expecting a toddler to resist a cookie. It's just not going to happen.
Exactly. They need an outlet for all that puppy energy. But, even with the best intentions, there will be times when those needle teeth find their way to your skin. So let's get practical. Say my adorable little land shark has decided my hand is a chew toy. What's my first move?
All right, let's paint a picture here. So you're sitting there, minding your own business, maybe enjoying a cup of coffee, and bam, those little teeth sink in. What do you do?
So one technique that works wonders is tapping into how puppies naturally learn from each other. Remember how we talked about bite inhibition? Well, when one puppy bites another too hard, that puppy will let out a high-pitched yelp and start playing.
Oh, yeah, like a little, ow, that's too rough.
Precisely. So when your puppy bites, you do the same thing. Let out a high-pitched yelp like you're another puppy, and immediately withdraw your attention.
So it's like hitting the pause button on playtime.
You got it. It's a clear signal to your puppy that, hey, that hurt, and now the fun's over. 9 times out of 10, they'll be startled and back off.
I love that. It's such a clear, simple signal, and it makes total sense, right? Because that's how they're used to communicating with their litter mates. It's like speaking their language.
Exactly. And for those moments when you can see the mischief brewing, those moments when you're like, oh, here it comes, that's when redirection is your new best friend.
The old switcheroo. I like it.
Exactly. Keep a toy handy, something durable, maybe even frozen for those teething pangs. And when you see those teeth coming your way, swap it out for your hand.
Here's a chew toy instead of my arm.
Exactly. It helps them redirect that chewing instinct to something more appropriate while also keeping your limbs intact.
Speaking of redirecting, I've heard some people use things like bitter apple spray to deter biting. Is that something you recommend?
It can be helpful, especially if the puppy's fixated on, say, your ankles or furniture they shouldn't be gnawing on. But always, always, always test it on a small area first. Make sure your pup doesn't have a negative reaction to it. Because just like with people, every dog is different.
Oh, absolutely. It's all about finding what works for your furry little individual. And speaking of individuals, what about those times when it feels like you've tried everything, you're at your wit's end, and you just want to throw in the towel or maybe the chew toy?
Oh, believe me, you are not alone. Training a puppy, especially a bitey one, is a marathon, not a sprint. There will be good days and bad days, days when you feel like you're making progress and days when you question everything. But here's the thing, it does get better.
That's so important to remember. It's a journey, right?
Exactly. And just like we wouldn't expect a baby to learn to walk overnight, we can't expect our puppies to become perfectly well behaved in a day or even a week. It takes time, consistency, and a whole lot of patience. But trust me, it is so, so worth it.
Music to my ears. And, I think it's a perfect note to end on. We've talked a lot about the how to stop puppy biting. But as you embark on this training journey with your furry little land shark, remember, you've got this. Think about the why behind those nips. Are they teething? Are they bored? Sometimes understanding the root cause can make all the difference in the world.